Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. Today, we're going to talk about money. Yeah, that's it. That's all we're talking about. We'll probably talk about a few other things, but money is one of those things that either as an entrepreneur you love making it or you love donating it. So, and maybe there's some in between, but I haven't found too many entrepreneurs who, um, you know, have decided what they want to do yet with their money, whether it's good or bad. But I brought on a special guest who's going to help us, well, kind of enlighten us on money. Uh, Eleni Anastos.
Yes,
Did I
it's so
pronounce
good
that
to
right?
be here. Eleni Anastos, yes.
Okay. So, I always like that. I always like that song. Money, 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 money.
Yes.
Um, but we're not going to sing the song because I'm nobody wants to hear me sing.
Yeah, my mother used to turn the radio up in the car louder when I would sing in the car. So I do not want to expose your guest to my singing voice either.
Yeah, well, a couple of times I was singing in the car and my wife opened the door and tried to kick me out. So we're not going to go there.
Okay.
So let's talk about money because
Yes.
I as an entrepreneur and we kind of mentioned this off air, but a lot of us heard the expression, money is the root of all evil,
Yes.
and we've kind of gotten ingrained that if we make X amount of dollars, people are going to look down on us.
Hmm.
But then there's other people who are like, wait a minute, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, they got billions of dollars. They should do more with their money and help the community, or they should help their employees more. Or, and I'm like, wait, you can't have it both ways. Either it's evil or it's not evil. What do you want? You
Right. And there's so much judgment around money. And I believe we've all grown up with a money story chocked full of those limiting beliefs, whether money is evil, there's never enough to go around, money's the bad guy. When money in and of itself, it can't be evil, it can't be bad. It's neutral. Like anything in your world, you get to apply the meaning to it without question. But the judgment, whether you're at the poverty level or at the wealth level or hovering in between, I think everyone's learned judgment about folks that are struggling and folks that have it all in terms of money.
I for years I kind of felt the same way, it wasn't until I started thinking of money as just a tool. It's just a means
Yes.
for me to either buy something, invest something, or get something, trade it for something else. And people were like, well, Rob, you now have a successful business, but it's not always been that way. And I didn't always have the money to do what I
Mhm.
wanted. So, it was always that risk of borrowing from someone so I could use that money as a tool to buy something else. And, you know, I think that gets people in a lot of trouble too. That
Oh,
that borrowing without knowing how to use that tool the right way.
well, I love that you're referencing it as a tool. I completely agree. And when you're borrowing it, again, without really realizing how you're going to pay it back or what it's exactly going to be used for, you've got to have the right strategy.
Mhm.
But even before that, people need to put themselves in the driver's seat with money. You need to control money, it doesn't control you.
Yeah.
And I've worked with countless entrepreneurs who have 100% given their power away, whether it was due to those limiting beliefs they grew up with, money being evil, never enough to go around, that scarcity mindset. You can't bring the money in if you're thinking there's not enough to go around with anyone. And really putting yourself back in the driver's seat is paying attention to it.
Mhm.
People are amazed. I said, well, you have a relationship with money. They're like, I do? Yes, you do. But most people avoid it at all costs.
Yeah.
And if you want a rich and rewarding relationship, with your spouse, with kids, with friends, with your clients, don't you have to pay attention to them?
Right.
So how the hell can you expect to have a rich and rewarding relationship with money if you're too afraid to pay attention to it and you're just avoiding it at all costs?
Right. And there's so many entrepreneurs that they create this awesome business. It's going
Yes.
so well, and they start getting this windfall of money. but they don't know how to use that money. So they're buying stupid stuff. They're buying cars and houses, and uh, they have nobody to help them. And the next thing they know, they're bankrupt because they didn't use the money wisely.
Right. I mean, there's countless stories of lottery winners that have won millions, tens of millions, and are dirt poor, completely broke, not that long after. But again, that's allowing the money to control you, you not controlling it.
Yeah.
And when I work with people, we got to dig deep. We're going to go back to what you grew up with. Like you shared, money is evil, hearing
Mm-hmm.
that as a kid, all those broken records playing in the background that are holding us back. I mean, if you're experiencing, those roller coaster months, up and down, and making five figures this month, nothing comes in the next month. Or you feel like maybe you're Teflon with money, it comes in, but it goes right back out.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be Velcro with money. We want to be able to keep our money.
Yeah.
And I see too many people struggle because, again, they've given the power away when really you just need to be strategic
Yeah.
about money and pay attention to it. And there's certain steps you can take, but thinking that, oh, I can't control this. I can't. You've given your power away like anything in your life. What about, your physical fitness? I think there's a great analogy with financial fitness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people like to say, oh, I'm good with money. No worries, no problem. But they're in mounting debt
Mm-hmm.
or they can't have back to back high profit months. The same applies. I've asked people, well, how are you doing physically? Oh, I feel great, but they can't walk to the end of the block.
Right.
Or the blood work comes back and says something else.
Yeah.
So first, we've got to own it.
Yeah.
You've got to own what's really going on so you can rebuild and have the right relationship with it.
One of the things that I learned early on, and some of my audience knows that, in my prior life, I owned a cleaning business. And a lot of my competitors would put a lot of money into brand new equipment. And they thought that, owning this equipment would help them make more money.
Right.
And I would buy used equipment because it was cheaper and I knew how to make that equipment make me money.
Yeah.
Well, as time went on, I watched all my competitors go out of business because they were throwing all that money back into, payments for this new truck or this new whatever equipment it was. So they were working for their equipment, whereas I was having the equipment work for me. And I see it all the time. Those shiny objects that people see, they constantly, oh, I must have it. Oh, and now they have all these shiny objects that don't do anything for them, but they just wasted all their money. I
Right.
would,
The bright, shiny object syndrome. Oh, it can be addicting. But that again, you're putting all the power into money.
yeah,
Instead of looking in the mirror, what do you bring to the table? Your experience, your skill sets, your talents. Because I've worked with entrepreneurs that are just starting out as well. And I tell them that they're stuck in there before. They say, well, before I can reach out, I need this bright, shiny website. Or before I can contact clients, I need to have this incredible marketing system in place. Or before. I said, no. You are the gift. You have the product or the service. That's just an excuse
right.
to not reach out to people and make something happen.
Yeah. And then the old adage is, you need money to make money. And you've just explained to people that it's not the money, it's the experience, it's their story, it's them. They are the money making machine,
Yes.
but they don't realize it because they think they have to have actual green, to hand out to
Right.
people. Without you being in the picture, there is no money coming into your business.
Exactly.
People buy from people they like, know, and trust. It's not that, it's that shiny truck in the background that they're buying from. They're buying from me. They're buying from you. They're buying from, anybody who owns that business. It's not actually the business they're buying from. It's the individual.
Yeah. And so many people have forgotten that, especially this year. People are still buying from people. I think it goes back to the limiting beliefs. Well, no one's ever going to pay me these fees if I don't have every bright, shiny object to show them.
Mm-hmm.
Or where am I going to find clients? Are there enough clients to go around? All limiting beliefs that are without question going to keep you stuck. You won't even get out of the starting gate
Right. One of
unless
the
you flip the switch.
one of the biggest stories I like to share with people is that, you know, they struggle on raising their prices. They struggle
Yes.
on that whole thing. But when I was in the cleaning business, I had, I talked about these big trucks that people would buy, the big equipment. Well, I knew a competitor when he went out to clean somebody's carpet, he was charging, probably 5 times more than what the competitors were doing. And he would
Okay.
go in there with a bucket, a scrub brush, and a towel, and he would basically hand scrub your carpet. He was charging way more than anybody else. He didn't have equipment, but people wanted his service because it was hand detailed. It was him. He was doing all the stuff himself. No employee. I mean,
Yes.
but people say, well, why was he doing that? And then they come up with all these excuses. Oh, but he was staying there all day. Yeah, but he was making $1,000, and you got this shiny equipment out here not making you anything. It's sitting in your driveway.
Exactly.
Has nothing to do with equipment. You know, they don't get it. So it goes back to those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, it says, it just, if you go out there and you can show people that you can do the job regardless,
Yes.
they're going to pay you. They're going to
Yes.
refer you to other people that have money.
Yes. Without question. And if you don't take a stand for yourself where money is concerned,
Yeah.
most likely every entrepreneur listening probably should be raising their fees,
Yeah.
but are going back to no one will pay me. How am I going to find the clients? Any limiting belief that's going to hold you back.
Yeah.
But I guarantee if you're not taking a stand for yourself where your prices are concerned as an entrepreneur or business owner, there are multiple areas in your life where you're also not standing up for yourself and you're tolerating so much less than you deserve and what you desire.
Right.
And that's not that you can't build anything sustainable that way by
Right.
tolerating.
And the mindset that once you start having, a little bit of money,
Mhm.
for me at least, the mindset gave me the ability to start saying no to cheap clients. I didn't need them, but this pandemic has created the mindset where a lot of entrepreneurs are hungry and they are
Yes.
willing to do things for a lot cheaper than they're used to because they're afraid, they have bills to pay, whatever the excuse is, they need the money. Well, now they've become a slave to that money. It's all about the money. It's no longer about mindset. I am just a hungry entrepreneur and I will do whatever you want. Just, pay me something. And
But
that's the
that kind of mindset, though, his people have carried with them for a long time, even pre-pandemic, and I think this is just, without question, magnified it.
yeah,
I remember first conversation with a new client, and fortunately, we were in a public place because he said, "I'm sick and tired of having to lower my fees just to get a customer."
yeah,
And this man had a lot of experience, was extremely talented and skillful. And I kind of leaned in and I said, "I have the answer." And he said, "What?" And I said, "Stop it." Because if you just keep lowering your fees, you're only going to be drawing in people that want the blue light special.
yeah,
They're not going to come to you because you are the most skilled and you have the most experience in your arena. And yes, I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like to wonder, how the hell am I going to keep the lights on next week? So I absolutely appreciate that.
yeah.
But I'm talking about that general pervasive, if you always shortchange yourself, then I know you're also doing it in other areas of your life. And that's not any way
Right.
for anyone to live.
Yeah. Money, money as a tool, once you
Yes.
understand that mindset, will help you with a lot of other aspects of your business.
Yes.
You'll be able to write quotes better, higher, and you'll have the confidence to say, "Look, this is the price. If you don't like it, kick rocks." And
Yeah.
and 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 I know people that are like, "Well, I can't say that to a customer. Why not?"
Well, and it's how you want to say it. But to me, it's about being passionately detached.
Hmm.
I had a client who before we were officially client and coach, and he had done a lot of research with other coaches. And there are a lot of coaches who just charge hourly. You can come and go as you please, like book on a calendar. I don't work that way. I'm very relationship oriented, and I'm going to be 110% committed to helping you get the results you want, but you can be damn sure I want you to be committed to the process.
Mhm.
And I said that to him. And I said, but if you want the hourly, just, come and go as you please, 1 month on, off. So that does not denote commitment to me. So
Mhm.
then I'm not the person for you. Now, I wanted to work with this person. I believed in him and I knew that we were a right match on multiple levels. But I had to just calmly say, I'm not the right person for you. So I'm still passionate about what I do, but I was detached. And his response was, where do I send the check?
Mhm.
But if I had said, okay, we can do it your way, we can go hourly, I would have been tolerating something I don't want. And that bleeds over into so many other areas. Not worth it.
Yeah, and if you're 50 or older, like I am, most of you are concerned about retirement.
Yes.
And if you're not charging enough now, that means you're not putting enough money away for your future, which means that when you're ready to retire, forget it. You're still going to be out there working. And the whole purpose of creating a business is to create that livelihood that you can,
Yes.
take on after you want to stop working.
Yes.
And, if you want to retire, that's great. If you want to travel, great. But that money needs to be there. And if you're not charging enough now, what future will you have later?
And there's always going to be those voices, and it's usually someone else's voice that's going to say, no one's ever going to pay you that.
Right.
That look at the market. No one's going to pay you that. You're not going to find clients that are going to be willing to invest at that level. Always, always the limiting beliefs. Everyone is going to be pouring that into you. And, I believe we should always, always own our own shit, but
Mhm.
we should never own anyone else's.
A few years ago, I started putting money aside.
Mhm.
And after a few months, I started putting more money aside, and then more money aside. It wasn't that I knew that this pandemic was coming, but
Mhm.
having the cleaning business long ago, I was probably like every other entrepreneur. I had probably 2 weeks of reserve,
Mhm.
and it wasn't enough. If I hurt myself, I'd be out of work for a month, so I'd
Sure.
lose that money. But as I started learning how to use money as a tool, I started, putting more and more reserve back. And I thought, okay, well, 2 weeks isn't enough. A month isn't enough. 3 months isn't enough if I break my back. And God, I hope I never break my back. But, it got to the point where I was like, well, now I have a year's worth of reserves. Do I
Mhm.
keep going? Yes, keep going. Um, but then the pandemic happened and it wiped out a lot of businesses who were never prepared
Mhm.
because they were living, week to week or month to month.
Yes. And when I see that, and this year, I mean, without question, so much has been beyond, totally outside of your control,
Hmm.
without question. And it's tragic that so many businesses have closed, people have lost jobs, have lost livelihoods. And so, I mean, no disrespect to anybody that's experienced that, but I'm looking at money as the long game.
Right.
I mean, year after year, it's a general pervasive thing. If you're always in the struggle, or if you're always just making what you need to go from month to month, then you've got to be willing to look in the mirror because something is going on between your ears that is holding you back.
Yeah, and it's not fun.
No. Mhm.
Everybody thinks that owning a business, is glory and fame and all this great stuff. And as soon as you start this business, all this cash is going to come in. It's not.
No.
But so you got to learn to manage that money. And if you're terrible with money, then get someone who is good with money. Because at the
Right.
end of the year, you might owe a tax bill that you're not prepared to pay. And then guess what? Now you have the IRS coming after you, or you got somebody else after you because you owe them money. That's a terrible way to run your business.
Absolutely. And especially for the entrepreneurs, I want people to be able to create the income that they desire. I
Hmm.
don't care if you want 50,000 a year or 50 million or anywhere in between. My point is I want it to be under your control and it can be. So if you have the right structure and you talked about strategy, you can reverse engineer. Say you want to make 250,000 a year. then you reverse engineer. You look at your products and your services and you figure out how much of each that you have to sell, how much do you have to provide to make it happen. And to me, if you're already feeling overwhelmed, oh, I can't possibly serve that many people, I can't possibly sell that many products, then maybe it is time to raise your fees.
Mhm.
Or maybe it's time to develop a new profit pyramid with a variety of offerings that are still going to be able to get you to that income goal,
Yeah.
whatever it is for you.
And when I first started the cleaning business, my slogan was, "We clean your carpet, not your wallet." I wanted everybody to know that I was this low price cleaner that would do whatever he had to do to please people. Problem is, after 3 years, I almost went bankrupt because everybody that I was cleaning had no money. They had the filthiest carpets. They were awful to deal with. And so when I raised my prices, and I mean I doubled my prices, and I
Okay.
changed my slogan to, redefining what clean should be, people came to me. They were willing to spend more money. They wanted the quality jobs. And this is what I tell people, your price sometimes can reflect. I'm not saying it's one of those cosmic things that the
Yeah.
universe is, looking down on you going, "Hey, he's a cheap guy. Everybody call him." I'm just saying that when you raise your prices, I don't know how, I don't know why, but mystically better clients will appear, and they did for me, and it was just phenomenal. Now that I, am in a different business, I'm coaching, I have more confidence. I can give people a higher price, and whether they take it or not, I feel good about it. And
Yes.
a lot of people were like, "Well, yeah, your price is a little higher than the last guy, but I trust you." Great.
And it's about the value.
Hmm.
You have to help people see value.
Yeah,
People are always going to find a way,
yeah,
always going to find a way. If I ever hear someone say it, I can't afford that. I'm sure we've all heard it, whether it's from clients, we've said it ourselves over the years, I can't afford that. Is it ever really just about the money or what you have or don't have in the bank? 99% of the time, it's not. You don't see the perceived value that it's going to help you, that it's going to pull you forward, then it doesn't matter.
right.
They could hand it to you. But if you don't see the value, it's not going to matter. But that's why I want people to own their value. I want them to charge what they're worth. And again, it's easier said than done. We all need support to get that structure in place. But once you stand up for yourself and you're charging what you're worth, promise you the ripple effect in other areas of your life because you've stopped tolerating what you don't want. I had a client once, beautiful, talented, creative entrepreneur. She was extremely gifted, but barely making ends meet. And when I met her, she was actually a month away from eviction
Mm.
and really didn't know how she was going to eat from one month to the next. So we just started talking and peeling back the layers. And her prices were really low, but she was also barely making any sales. And
Yeah,
when I started talking to her, she was sharing things that she heard as a child from her parents. The money's the bad guy. There's never enough to go around. And she said her mom and dad were, extremely loving and affectionate, but they both had such anxiety around money that they didn't want to deal with it. So she kind of entered into this silent, unconscious agreement that I just don't want to deal with money. It has to be there, but I don't want to. So when it came time for her to present her fees to a potential client, she basically asked permission. She literally told me, she would say, and the investment is $1,000. Is that okay?
yeah.
No, no. But she was also not standing up for herself in other areas of her life personally.
Right.
So when she finally realized, I don't have to be that way, I don't have to hang on to those limiting beliefs I grew up with, she started making 6 times what she was making before. And she also met the love of her life and is now happily married because she stopped tolerating less than she desired and deserved.
That's right. Yeah. It can have a ripple effect in so many ways in your life. And, it starts with that mindset that you have to value yourself.
Yes.
You are your internal bank. And if
Yes.
you're telling people, "Hey, is $1,000 okay?" That's giving them right there the permission to beat you up in price Do not do
Yes.
that. And honestly, for all you people that can keep saying, I'm affordable, what does that really mean? Are you affordable to the people that have zero money? Because you're not affordable to them either. And the people that have money may think that affordable is too cheap for them. So um, all those different words, that you like, people like to use. Are you competitive? I'm not competitive. In fact, I don't even have any competitors. So I don't even know what that word means.
Right.
Um, you got to stop that. All that. I mean, you have to change that mindset and say, look, I am worth it. This is what I'm charging. And you don't back down.
That's it. That's key. You don't back down. You have to make the decision that no matter what, this is the amount I'm going to be bringing in.
Mhm.
Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, you got to burn the ships. You've got to make that decision. This is the way I'm going. And it might be a rocky start. It might be a slow start, but I think both of us are saying it's not like waving a magic wand and it's going to happen in an instant. But if you keep doing that financial cha-cha, like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, you're not going to be able to grow or scale your business the way you want to.
And not to blame things for the pandemic, but I think the problem with a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those with employees, they
Yes.
use this as an excuse to maybe appease their consumer base. And I watched one of my service-based businesses here in my area. They used to be one of the highest price companies around, and
Hmm.
now they're about half the price that they were because they wanted to keep their employees busy during this pandemic. They didn't want to let them go. The
Hmm.
problem is now they had to sell a couple vehicles because they don't have the money. Now they're facing layoffs because they didn't bring enough money in. They're
Yeah.
all those, and here's the problem: when you lower your price, whether it be pandemic or whatever excuse comes up, it makes it that much harder to raise it when
Right.
the crisis is over. Don't do it.
Right. It's like looking for an excuse to fail instead of a reason to succeed. And again, I fully acknowledge and respect how horrific this year has been for a lot of people on so many levels. But I think we're both talking about the foundational beliefs
Hmm.
that you are worth it, that you have value, and you can keep going forward. I mean, the way through anything is still forward.
Hmm. So how can people get a hold of you? I mean, go to the website, or do you have a Facebook page? Where should they go?
Yes, well, Eleni Anastos, and everything is branded under my own name. So you can find me via my website, LinkedIn, Facebook, and I would be happy to connect. And if anyone just even has a question about their current financial situation or how to bust through a limiting belief, please don't hesitate to reach out.
And I'll put that link below. And if you're listening on audio, or wherever you find this on the podcast, um, you just have to spell it out.
Yes.
People are like, Rob, I don't spell. Look, she's everywhere. Just spell it. ELENIANASTOS.com. See, I help you,
Correct.
but I'm not going to help you with your money problem. So that's Eleni's job.
Yes, and I'm happy to do so because I really, truly, every fiber of my being, I'm on a mission to help people feel empowered. And again, I don't care how much money you want to make. That part doesn't matter to
Yeah.
me. The point is, I want it to be your choice, not someone else's, not some external circumstance. I want you to be in the driver's seat with money.
But I will suggest though that those people that are just starting out, having that $1 million dream is great,
Mhm.
but having that $100,000 dream will get you to that $100,000 first, and then you take it one step after that. I
Right.
find way too many people believe that that $1 million dream is the next week, and it's not going to happen. It's going to take time.
No,
But
no,
most average mom and pops can make the $100,000 leap very quickly,
right.
and then after that, then you train your brain on how to manage that $1 million as you start making it.
I love that you brought that up because to me, it's all about stair stepping.
Hmm.
Yes, again, have that 7-figure goal. That's great. But if all you've ever made is 40 or 50,000, you say you want it,
Yeah.
but then you start on the track and then something's going to take you off the track. Something's going to come up and you're not going to deal with it. I mean, just for anybody that works out or lifts weights, say you want to bench press 200, the most you've ever lifted is 50.
Hmm.
You don't go right from 50 to 200.
Right.
You focus on that goal in increments, and we can do the same with money, and we'll get there with a much more solid foundation.
Yeah. And, for all you people that have these are shiny objects. This is an i6. The new one's an i12. I'm not getting it because I already own
Right.
one. It's paid for. I don't want to be indebted for something that I could have owned a long time ago. So think about that the next time a shiny object comes your way. Is it something that you really need? Is it going to be beneficial? Will it make you money? Because in most cases, the older phone will still make you the same amount of money as the new phone.
Exactly. Exactly.
So anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode. And please visit Eleni now, as you're listening to this. And, say hi. Tell her that you saw this or
Yes.
heard this podcast and hire her to help you.
I'm here for you.
So, hey, adios.